Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Gomme and an undergraduate student in the psychology program. My research is titled, Is That White Lie Saving Your Relationship? Affection exchange theory, coined by Floyd in 2006, suggested that affection is an adaptive tool for successful mating and partnership. Deceptive affectionate messages, abbreviated to DAMs, are suggested to be when affection is expressed more than authentically felt. The image is an example of a dam. One friend is asking for their opinion, and the other friend is suggesting she looks sweet, but you can tell she might just be saying that to not hurt her friend's feelings. Results of previous research. Horan and Booth Butterfield in 2013 completed a study which involved a 7-day diary in which participants recorded their lives to their partner. The findings suggested dams occurred as often as 3 times a week, and more often when a partner was frustrated with the other. This suggested dams may be used as a relationship maintenance to avoid an argument. It also suggested people have an intrinsic understanding of what would benefit or harm a relationship. Horan and Dillow in 2009 and Horan and Booth Butterfield in 2010 attempted to measure physiological changes when recalling a dam behavior, as studies on recalling general deception have resulted in measurable changes such as heart rate. There were no significant findings to these studies, however, which suggested dams are considered different than general deception, probably because of how common they are. In 2019, Redlick and Vangelesti did a study to see if the usage of dams changed when considering a partner's commitment and value. What they found was that dams are more likely to be used when a relationship is vulnerable, and that when someone finds their partner of high value, they're less likely to use dams as they're perceived too risky. As deceptive affectionate messaging have been studied as a mating tool. I wanted to involve gender. Though men and women are similar in most ways, the main difference is their mating strategies and priorities there. As an example, some studies suggest women rate trustworthiness higher than men. So my hypotheses and research question. Hypothesis 1 is men would be less likely than women to consider dams deceptive. Hypothesis 2 would be women would be less likely to consider engaging in dam behavior. And my research question, will women respond more likely to perceive dams as more deceptive when exposed to high commitment? My methodology. I created an anonymous survey and collected 244 responses. I gauged the participants' commitment level. I experimented with high and low commitment exposure through 4 scenarios. I then gave the participants the same prompt and asked them to answer questions that would measure their perception of the dam in the prompt, as well as their likelihood to engage in similar dam behavior. The participants were split evenly among men and women. The average age was about 39, and over half stated they were in an active relationship, which is important to have in studies measuring commitment. These are the 4 scenarios of either high or low commitment I used, which with the perspective of either a man or woman staying or leaving a relationship when their spouse is diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. And this is the prompt independent variables. I gave this prompt to every participant the same way. It just entails 2 people, Joan and Robert, exclusively dating. On a date, Joan admitted that she was falling in love with Robert. Robert was a bit taken aback, but he didn't want to spoil the evening. So he also told Joan he was falling in love with her, even though he didn't really feel it. And then I asked, how deceptive did you feel Robert was in this scenario? And how likely would you be to act similarly to Robert in this situation? The results. Were my hypotheses supported? No, there was no significant findings for gender in this study on either the perception of dam behavior or likelihood to engage in dams. My hypotheses were rejected. So let's reconvene. My hypotheses and research questions were not supported, but who did, if any, perceive the prompt as deceptive? And who, if any, were more likely to engage in dam behavior? So this graph shows a significant finding. And it shows how deceptive a participant found Robert's behavior in the prompt. The blue line represents low committed participants, and the green line represents high committed. As you can see, the participants higher in commitment found the dam behavior more deceptive. This is another significant finding. The graph shows the participants' likelihood to behave similarly to Robert in the prompt and their exposure to each scenario. As you can see, scenario 3 has created a significant difference compared to the others. Scenario 3 was where the woman stayed with her husband who has cancer. And the graph shows that when participants were exposed to that scenario, they were more likely to behave similarly to Robert. So, discussions and key findings. Gender did not play a role in perceiving deception or in the behavior of dams, which is a consistent finding. People with high commitment may perceive dams as more deceptive. The majority of my participants measure high in commitment, suggesting someone's commitment level may need to be higher than the average. And this is consistent as well. Now, the novel finding is that people may consider engaging in dams when they're exposed to high commitment. Specifically, a woman staying with an ill husband was perceived as a high commitment. So, do white lies really save your relationship? Maybe. This novel finding suggests maybe if someone is highly committed, they may lie to avoid hurting your feelings. And limitations. The survey was self-reported. The participants in the survey had relatively high commitment to begin with, so it might not be representative of a wider view. And the participants were majorly white and heterosexual. For future research, relationship satisfaction is suggested to be as important as commitment in a relationship, so including that in future studies would be useful. Many studies I've read encourage researchers to continue experimenting with deceptive affectionate messaging in different ways, since there's so much more to learn about its usage and function in romantic relationships. These are my references. And I would like to personally thank Dr. Eisel, Dr. Farley, and Dr. Frederick. The support I received during my research made all the difference in me presenting today. Thank you so much for your time.